Sovereign Nation! What's going on, my people? Welcome to another episode of the Sovereign Health Podcast with your host, bringing you the most value, Daniel, or depending on the network you know me from, Viking. Kind of scrawny for a Viking, huh? Gotta kill that branding. So here's the thing, right? We are driven and empowered by a community of givers. And giving can both be a blessing and a curse. And it depends on how you use these tools, right? There's a bunch of us where we just want to give and give and give. And the problem that we run into is we stretch ourselves out so thin. We run ourselves into the ground. We have so many commitments, so many obligations going on that we don't get anything done. And the things that we do get done aren't even a 40% quality, right? Because we're just way too stretched out. So how do we overcome that? How do we overcome that burnout? How do we achieve our personal aims? How do we become the man or woman that we want to become without sacrificing our livelihoods, without sacrificing our legacies, without running ourselves into the ground? How do we maintain that front sight focus to keep following the path that we've chosen, to keep moving the dial forward, right? In order to do that, in order to serve and 20x our capacity, our potential, and our performance, we must have that front sight focus. We must have that singular focus. We must know what the highest value tasks or priorities are that are going to enable us to continue moving the dial forward, right? Continue moving the dial towards our purpose goals, our passion, our purpose, our principles. You hear me hammering on these a lot because whether we admit it or not, they do help us prevent burnout. They do help us tap into our untapped potential. They do help us increase our performance. But only when they're done right. So what tools do we need? How do we accomplish these things in the right way? First and foremost, learn how to say no. Right? That's a hard one for all of us. We want to give and give and give and have that and help and help and help and serve and serve and serve. And then we hit those walls because we're too stretched out. Right? If you want to 20x your life on all fronts, you need 5 traits. You need desire, belief, attitude, discipline, and determination. So let's break those down, right? Your desire. Do you have a burning desire to succeed? Are you going to let nothing stop you, hold you up, or get in your way? Is your desire that big? Are your ambitions that big? There's nothing wrong with that. But when we look at that 30,000 foot view and we stay stuck up there, we forget all of the little puzzle pieces that build the foundations to help us bridge those gaps from where we are to where we want to be. Having that desire is great, but we must also be able to take that step back. If we do not have, number 2, belief, an unshakable belief in ourselves, an unshakable belief in our teams, we're going to get stuck in those mental ruts, those energetic ruts, right? Our mental health is going to go downhill. We might even start burning out. We might even start doubting ourselves. Number 3, your attitude. Your attitude is everything, right? If you're walking into situations with a piss poor attitude, negative, talking down on people, throwing emotional hand grenades around, not good. It's not benefiting you. It's not benefiting everybody else. Guess what? I am one of the most guilty. I laugh about it. It's not funny, but I am one of the most guilty people there is. I get so caught up in my head. I get so caught up in busy work that doesn't actually move the dial forward that I start getting down on myself. I start getting down on myself. I start beating myself up. I start beating myself up. That emotional toxicity ends up spewing out to everybody around me, right? And I start dropping these little emotional hand grenades around everywhere, stressing everybody out, dragging everybody down with my emotions, instead of practicing the fundamentals of gratitude and appreciation and lifting us all up so that we can rise together. You know what I mean? 4, discipline. No plan survives contact with the enemy. Every plan looks perfect on paper, right? Every plan looks perfect once we've got it all written down. But once we start implementing it, once we start executing on it, it doesn't survive, it doesn't hold up. Our attitude is everything, and our discipline is what keeps us going when it feels like nothing's working, when it feels like the world is against us and everything's falling apart. You know what I mean? It happens. Desire, belief, attitude, discipline. You can program your subconscious mind to just do what needs to be done to a certain degree. Fitness is a prime example. When I first started my fitness journey, I was the most inconsistent, undisciplined person ever. Maybe I'd work out for a minute here, I'd take a few days off, I'd work out for 5, then I'd work out for maybe 10 another day. I was all over the place, all up and down. But eventually, as I started figuring out the optimal times a day for me to work out, the optimal times a day for me to be sitting on calls with people, the optimal times a day for whatever, I was able to start building those into my routines, and it's autopilot, right? My workouts are pretty much autopilot. I get myself ready at the end of the day, right? I get everything I need. Am I using my mace? Am I using a steel club? Am I using my weight vest or just doing animal flow? What am I doing? I get it ready. I wake up in the morning, I roll out of bed, I take my physical, my mental, my emotional dumps, slam back my super greens. Y'all know I love me my super greens. Gotta get my greens in every chance I get, right? Slam that back, and then I'm on my way with my workout. I don't even think about it. It's automatic, it's programmed, it's routine. That's discipline. It takes time, it takes work, it takes effort, it takes energy. And most importantly, it takes time and dedication. Last but not least, 5, determination. Right? And that really ties into what I said about desire, belief, and attitude already. Do you have the determination, the drive to stay disciplined in the face of adversity? Adversity is challenge. Life is going to throw crucibles at us non-stop. A crucible is a challenge, a life-changing challenge. A prime personal example for me is operating within bankless Tao. I didn't even know what a Tao was until like 9 weeks ago when that spun up, you know what I mean? Totally, like, I would fall into the category of an off-chain, crypto-curious business owner that wants to learn more and develops on-chain solutions and embrace the new world, the new economy, right? Without that, and that's a huge crucible. I'm used to traditional businesses, right? I'm used to the hierarchy, the pyramid. I'm used to closed doors, walls, trenches, separation, divide, this transparent culture, this collaborative culture, this open source culture is completely foreign to me, and I struggle to operate within it. My 5 mountains are being tested every single day, non-stop. Physical, mental, emotional, intuition, kokoro. Kokoro is a Japanese word. Doesn't really have an English translation. two of the loose translations are heart and mind merged into action, or merged heart-mind. That is the epitome of a world-centric warrior leader. Right? Warriors aren't these hurt little children that just want to burn everything down, chaos, anarchy, whatever. Yoga, Qigong, Tai Chi, all of these are warrior disciplines. They were developed by warriors for warriors to help us sharpen our minds, keep our minds honed, hone our emotions, hone our intuition, develop the skills that we need in order to be successful in the battlefield. This day and age, we don't really have a battlefield. Our battlefield is life. We need that mental toughness, that fortitude, right? The discipline, determination, attitude, belief, desire. That fuel to our fires to keep us going forward at all times. How do we develop that mental fortitude to keep us moving, to keep us going forward? What is the secret sauce to that? Because when you're being challenged on all fronts, when you're in a crucible on all fronts and trying to learn something that new, that innovative, and you're trying to break the molds and the biases that have been injected in us that traditionally are the norms, whether we agree with them or not, what can we do to help us overcome that? You hear me say all the time, tech is toxic. And it is. We spend way too much time hunched over our screens, working away, our tablets, our phones that I'm recording on, my computer that's in the corner, maybe the TV or the Xbox. We got all these distractions that pull us away from our passions, our purpose, our principles, that pull us away from moving the dial towards our goals, that pull us away and make it that much harder to accomplish what we need to accomplish. Disconnect, unplug, take days off. It doesn't have to be weekends like me. I just like taking weekends off. That's my bias. I spent the majority of my life working on weekends. I never got a weekend off. I was a chef. I always had to work holidays. I always had to work weekends. I was one of the top performers. I danced circles around everybody on the line. And I could operate pretty much every station in one go. I couldn't do it well because I was too stretched out, but I did it. It used to be a badge of honor, but it's no longer anymore. Some of you guys at Bankless Dow, you do it too. You're a part of several or a dozen different projects, and it's just like little touches here and there, nothing gets done. So how do we develop that front sight focus? How do we develop the skills in order to have that mental toughness, in order to build that resilience, in order to keep driving the dial forward? That's pretty simple. It starts with self-awareness. We have to know where we are in order to have a chance to get where we want to go in the future, without drawing that line in the sand and saying, this is where I am, right here. Here's the next line. This is where I'm going, right here. Now, in between, we've exposed a gap. And now we can start figuring out what are the skills, what knowledge, what capacity, what capital do I need in order to bridge that gap? Do I need human capital? Do I need financial capital? What do I need? We can start putting that together. Without a solid understanding of who you are, why you're here, where you are now, and what you're going to do, we're basically fumbling around in the dark, hoping that we slam our ankle, our shin on something, right? Just to know that we're moving in a direction. We need to take a step back, do that foundational work, and get that clarity. What is the one thing that fires you up to move forward? What is your personal ethos? What do you stand for? Passion, purpose, principles. See? We keep coming around full circle. It sounds like this stuff is mutually exclusive, but it's not. It's totally inclusive. We keep coming back to the same concepts, the same principles. whether it's our health, whether it's our business, it's all the same. The concepts, the foundations, they don't change, they just get applied a little bit differently. How can we develop the resiliency, the mental toughness, the fortitude to keep going in the face of all that adversity and map that out? That would be our big 4 skills of mental toughness, right? First and foremost, positivity, because your attitude is everything. I'm not talking about toxic positivity where, everything is butterflies and sunshine and rainbows all the time and everything is perfect. No. But you don't have to be a negative, condescending dickhead tearing everything down around you because stuff's not working. You can frame negative situations in a positive light in a way that inspires, motivates, and lifts everybody up around you, because the rising tide raises all ships. Or we could follow and do what we've always done, which is build to burn. We build it up, we get bored, we get frustrated, we hit a wall, we light that match, we burn it all down, we start over. There's only so many times we could start over before we lose our will and our desire. Positivity is key. Your emotions, what you say to yourself, what you say to other people, is going to have a massive impact on your life. Breath control, the second skill of mental toughness. Positivity, breath control. How often do you meditate? Do you do box breathing? What's your style? The quality of your life will be determined by the quality of your breath. Through your breath, you can develop arousal control. You can put yourself in a flow state. You can calm down your nervous system. You can amp and jack yourself up on an adrenaline high. There's so much you can do with breath control. And it is such a powerful practice, and it is so simple. 95% of the world's population does not know how to breathe. We don't breathe properly. We breathe shallow, usually from the top of our chest, the anxiety. Some of us, maybe the really calm people, not me, breathe from the very bottom of our belly. We don't use our full lungs. We don't use our full capacity. So learning how to tap into that breath control is key. Visualizations. Elite teams, since the dawn of time, have been using visualization. The Roman Empire, right? The Spartans, the yogis, Qigong, Tai Chi. There's a reason why breath control and visualization get used. Even your most famous, your favorite sports team, right? There's a good chance your favorite athlete before his game is sitting there doing breath work, is visualizing the win that they want to see, visualizing their performance in the game. Our mind cannot tell the difference between reality and fantasy. It's the same thing. That is why what you think you become. You become what you think, right? If we're putting out that negative, toxic, woe is me energy out there, that's all we're going to see. We're going to live it, eat it, breathe it, shit it. It's never going to go away. We're going to attract more of it in our life. It's like that old rafting story, right? Go where I point. Don't look at the rocks. You're going to go to the rocks. Look at wherever I'm pointing and you will make it down the river okay. You can build muscle by visualizing working out. It's not going to be as effective as actually doing it, putting your muscles to work, but your brain doesn't know the difference. It has power, so combining the visualization before and after, the action goes a long way. Pre-event, pre-meeting, pre-whatever. Visualize how you want it to go. Once it's over, do a recapitulation. Visualize how it went. What insights, wins, lessons, breakthroughs, breakdowns? What come up? What came up? How can I do better? How can I continue to master myself in service to others? Right? So, big four skills of mental toughness: positivity, breath control, visualization, last but not least, again, I've brought this one up a few times, just in various packaging, micro goal setting, right? Set those micro goals. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. That's it. You eat an elephant one bite at a time. You're not going to get that whole elephant down in one big bite. Your goals are the same. And I said this earlier. When we're looking at that 30,000 foot view, that 100,000 foot view, it's overwhelming. We don't know where to do. We don't know what to do. We don't know where to go. We got to take that step back, and we got to set those micro goals. You don't win the baseball game by chasing the home runs. You don't win the baseball game by hitting those grand slams. You win a baseball game by getting on base, one base at a time. You hit that single, you get on base. Business, health, fitness, nutrition, it's all the same. Micro goals. If they seem a little bit too easy, perfect. That's the time to start executing on them. Start implementing them, start taking action. As if it's too easy, you should have no problem staying consistent. But consistency, the discipline to stay consistent, doesn't exist for a lot of people. So when it's a little bit too easy, there you go. Set those micro goals, establish. This is where I am. This is the line in the sand. This is where I'm going. This is my front side focus. I am now in the gap between where I am and where I want to be. To make that jump in one swoop or a couple swoops isn't going to work. So how can I reverse engineer and take those micro steps? Set those micro goals to build that bridge across the gap and get where I want to be. This has been jam-packed full of value, and I'm going to leave that here for you guys. Sitting at about the 22-minute mark. A little bit over what I wanted to do, but this was important. These are all foundational concepts that I'm constantly repeating and constantly teaching because they're so powerful. Yet they're so simple. And when things are this simple, human nature wants to believe they're not going to work. They're not going to be effective. They don't work. They're not effective because we don't use them, or we don't use them appropriately, or we don't have the right accountability and support, right? Whether that's from our spouses, our peers, our businesses, whatever the case may be. Nobody can do the work for you. That is up to you. All we can do is empower you with the tools, the resources, the knowledges, and the know-how. And it's up to you to take action and move forward. Move forward. Don't stop. Have the attitude, the belief, the determination, the discipline, right? The desire. Build, practice your positivity, your daily gratitude. That's a superpower. Control your breathing. Visualize the success. Visualize where you want to be. Attract that energy into your life. And set those micro goals so you can get where you want to be when you want to be there. Sovereign Nation, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for supporting this initiative, this podcast. Thank you for being there for me. You know where to find me. My contact information's down below. It'll be on this page. You can find me in the Bankless Discord or at any of my several communities. Have a wonderful week. Have a wonderful hump day. We're going to chat soon. Cheers.